Well, if somebody, so I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to actually talk about blogging, the science of it, and the business behind it. The first question I would have, if a listener is listening to this right now and they're like, well, uh, you started 15 years ago and it took you 5 years before you started to see mild success, 10 years before before Greg quit his job and you were doing it
Yeah.
full time and making really good money at it.
Hmm.
And I think I mean, Tony Robbins has a quote that it's like people grossly overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in
Yeah.
10. And I mean, I've been in business for 6 years. The first 2 years I struggled like crazy before I really gained any traction. And that, like, even then, like, it's been a battle uphill every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm mildly successful now. I can pay all the bills. I don't have to worry, but I'm not a millionaire, right?
We're not
Anyway,
cajillionaires laying on the beach somewhere.
well,
What's wrong with us?
I think you see all the social media out there and, you see, like, I mean, Gary Vee is pretty honest, but he's
Hmm.
also like, just put out 60 pieces of content a day and grind, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle. Well, yeah, for 10 years. Plan on doing it for at least 5. But my
Yeah.
question, coming back to that rant aside, is if somebody were looking at this and they're like, well, you started 15 years ago. I mean, blogging was a different thing. Now you type something into Google, like all the good search terms are taken, or I don't know that I would ever gain any traction. What's a realistic expectation?
Yeah. So the good news is everything's out there right now for you to know exactly what to do. And so it can make your path so much shorter than mine. When I started blogging, there was no blogger instruction. You couldn't go to Google and say how to start a blog or how to install a button in your sidebar or how to do this. Nobody that 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 knowledge didn't exist yet. In fact, it was basically those of us behind the scenes when you go to somebody's blog and they're like, oh, they put an image that you can click on. What, like that person got 10 emails within 20 minutes saying, how did you do that? I hang out with nice people on the internet. So she would like send me this is what I did. And that's how we learned how to do these things. We would see it on someone else. And if they were nice enough to share how they did it, then we would do it. But there was no Googling or blog, how to start a blog or Blogger Education 101 or SEO or any of that stuff. That just didn't exist. So the good news is today that like you don't have to invent this. Like it's also the bad part of it is we didn't know what it was supposed to look like. We just put out the stuff that we thought was good stuff, or we didn't even really care. We were just putting stuff out there. And there was no judgment of it because, there was no standard. And whereas today, I think that's something that like people will, oh, I have to do it this way because no, like you get to choose. Your blog is your real estate in the world. So no matter what anyone else is doing, you get to choose what to do on your blog. It doesn't have to look, in fact, I would say you're better off if it doesn't look like everybody else's stuff like that. So there's that, there's a really good, thing that there's a lot more information out there. There's also the ability to really, I have 13,000 blog posts on Kids Activities blog. That's because I didn't know what I was doing. If I was gonna start Kids Activities blog from scratch today, I would probably need about 250 blog posts that are exactly these, and I know that today, but it took me 13,000 to come up with the 250 that are doing really well. So that is when you find like that knowledge base. Like I have one of my coaching clients, she started a blog about 18 months ago and it has 200 blog posts and it's doing really well. And we're talking 18 months versus, 13, 12. Yeah. I would say it probably took me maybe 10 years to get, successful and then 13 to get wildly successful.
Awesome.
So there's a lot of ways to short circuit that now, in a way that wasn't possible way back when we didn't even know what the hell we were doing.
I mean, I would agree with that. I see people, I mean, I think SEO is coming back because what's the first thing if you see something on social media, you Google it.
Mm-hmm.
You usually look for a review of it. You can't trust Amazon reviews anymore. So you're like, who has a review? Who has something to say about
Right.
XYZ? Just like your pajama jeans story,
Mm-hmm.
only that's a gazillion times a day now. Are you looking to scale your business but trying to figure out how to get your message across? Well, go to storyselling.how to grab my free course that will show you how to discover everything that you need to build your business through stories. These stories work whether it's in social media, email, or public speaking. There are 5 core stories that you'll learn. You'll be able to use all of them by the time you're done with this course. Again, that is storyselling.how. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to tune in next time.